How's the show going for you guys? Have you walked around the NAMM show?
Who's overstimulated?
Who is it's their first time?
Baby. Okay, you gotta walk around NAMM. You gotta give yourself a good solid half a day, at least. I will say this is my millionth NAMM. And okay, my first NAMM show, 1988.
Yes! Wow!
So it's been a little time. My name's Laura Whitmore. I am the founder of the Women's International Music Network and the SheRocks Award, which is Saturday night this year. Hope you guys are coming. There's still tickets available. I feel like a little kid. I'm swinging my feet. I also am the Vice President of Marketing for Positive Grid. We make the Spark line of amplifiers and other cool guitar gear. It is my passion to bring women together in the industry, and I'm here to talk to some incredible women here to share some of their insights and their careers and stuff that they messed up and stuff that they got right and all that fun stuff. So I think we're just going to start off with them introducing themselves. When you say your name, say what you do, and we'll just go down the line. So
sounds good. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think so. My name is Morgane Devos, and I'm marketing director for North America for a microphone company called Shure.
We love Shure.
We love Shure Mike.
Yeah.
Thank you for having Shure mics.
Wait, and it's Shure's 100th anniversary. Is that crazy? Yes. We
Come
love
to our
that.
booth.
Yes, go to their booth, and we're also honoring their CEO, right? At the SheRocks Award.
So we're on Saturday night.
Yes. Okay.
My name's AIJIA. I'm a singer-songwriter and women's advocate. All things girl power.
And she kicks some butt. AIJIA. I love it.
Hi everybody, my name is Jasmine Sandler. First of all, thank you Laura for putting this together, really appreciate it. My name is Jasmine Sandler, I lead Warrior Women in Business, and we have a division that supports women in music. I am also a musician, and my goal is to positively impact women globally for giving them monetary opportunities. That's it.
Amen.
Hi, my name is Myki Angeline. I'm from Sacramento, California. I'm currently Myki on middays at 98 Rock. I also work for Laura, best boss ever. I'm a recording academy member for the San Francisco chapter, and I am on the board for Girls Rock Sacramento Music Education Camp. And I also host the self-defense course that we teach in the campus. And this is my 14th year at NAMM, and I absolutely love Laura's right. Connecting with the people is the best part.
Self-defense. We should do a self-defense workshop during the NAMM show.
Forget the panel.
I'll host it. Oh, that'd be good. Even for the airport. I don't know. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's have you guys talk a bit about just like we have to keep it tight. So we'll talk a little bit about your journey that brought you to like your current role and like what you love about what you do right now. So Morgane, do you want to?
All right, so I might be the one who kind of fell into the music industry a little bit by chance or luck, but as you can hear, I'm French, born and raised in France, started my career in the toys industry in Paris, and then moved with this company to Barcelona, and then I moved from industry to industry, moved to New Zealand, worked for Samsung, and then followed my husband for a job opportunity in Chicago. And I reconnected with a friend I used to work with at Mattel, and he was working for this company called Shure. And I was like, do you know? It's like, I don't think so. And I started Googling it. It's like, oh, I know. Yes, I see them everywhere. And then opportunity occurred for me to apply, and I started working there in 2018 as a marketing manager for part of their business. And now I'm overseeing the marketing team for North America, and what I absolutely love in my job is the company culture. It's hands down the best company I've worked for, and the people, like the passion that really transpires in everything, whether it's customers, whether it's competitors, or whether it's end users, and in those trade shows you see how people are motivated and moved, so that's what keeps me around.
Awesome, thank you. AIJIA.
I am, first of all, thank you for having me here. I
I
came
just
up.
invited Asia so that I could hang out with her.
I'm also super down for self-defense. Let's just do that. I grew up here in LA. I come from a family of musicians, so everybody in my family is a gigging, broke, that's where I come from. I did the touring thing for many years. I toured with Selena Gomez for a long time and got a chance to do like Saturday Night Live and all the cool things that came with that. I also was the talent producer for Songland, which is a show about songwriters. Helped find songwriters for that and pick songs with the casting team and like what's a good song versus like who's just good on camera. And now I tour, write, co-write, try to help as much as I can usher the new era of women in so that it's easier because I think it was challenging. It still is, but it is better than it was. And try to just normalize being a loud woman in the room where I can. Breastfeeding, having a baby, doing a session on a birth ball, all the things. And I'm so grateful to be here.
So where I came from. So it's interesting, you talked about growing up with a family of musicians. Yeah. Well, I grew up with a family of doctors. I wanted to play the drums when I was little and they handed me a violin and I broke it. And I was completely against music growing up because I was forced not to be in music. So I had two dreams growing up. One was to be on Madison Avenue as an advertising CEO, which I've been, and also to be a star in Hollywood. So I'm very much a creative individual, and I always had friends that were musicians, and I always saw how they struggled, and artists, and I hated it. So, it's kind of been my mission for quite a while to help artists all across the board, not just musicians, monetize their talents, right? So with that, I use my main business, which is JSMedia, which is a branding digital marketing agency. And then I use my second business, Warrior Women Business, to converge them together to give women opportunities, to get opportunities to work with corporations to monetize their talents, whether that means events or conferences or social networking, all of that. And, I think it takes all of us together. I've been the president of several women business owner organizations nationally, and I see where they fail in not really taking action, and I think that's what it takes. So, that's my journey in a very short snapshot. It's very hard to put that quickly, but
so hard.
Yeah, but where I am today is I've invested a lot of money and time in Warrior Women in Business as opposed to my main business, and that's why I'm at NAMM, because I really do want to make a difference. So I appreciate everybody coming.
Thank you. Amen.
I love being on this panel with all of you. Thank you. I consider myself a unicorn in this industry because I did not go to school for this. I had no training. Growing up Filipino, I was supposed to be a nurse or a doctor. And then I was like, no, I'm going to be a veterinarian because I love animals. And then that didn't happen. And then I get laid off from a job in 2012 and are given an opportunity to have a radio show on an internet station. And I thought this should be fun. And that catapulted everything. And it was just the whole raising my hand to want to do things and wanting to meet everybody. It got me to NAMM my first year, which then got me to meet Laura because I attended the very first SheRocks. And then from there, I learned podcasting on my own, started doing podcasting, and then I networked with everybody in Sacramento in music, which got me onto 98 Rock, and then all of a sudden I became Middays with like no training, and Middays it's a legacy station in Sacramento, 98 Rock. And then because I was at NAMM and because I was speaking on panels, I became a Recording Academy member. And I just realized that the love is connecting with people and elevating and supporting people and providing platforms. For me, I am the first Filipino, first queer person, 5th woman ever on 98 Rock. Sacramento, if you don't know, is a very conservative town. And so I did not realize how important this was until I started going to events. And then I had the queer people and the women and the people of color were so excited to see representation on the air. And I realized this, being with Girls Rock and being with the Women's International Music Network, just representing and knowing that when you see me and you hear me and you hear her and you hear her and you hear her, you know there's a world for us and we are going to dominate, and don't ever let anyone tell you you can't do it.
Representation matters.
She has a good radio voice, right?
Yes.
Really good. Hey, there's a couple of seats in the front if anyone in the back is looking for a seat. There's like 3 or 4 seats up here. So feel free to come on down. So let's look back and think about maybe a defining moment in your career or sometime when maybe you failed and it helped you get to the next place in your career, because that happened to me a couple of times where I was like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And then out of that grew like the best thing that ever happened to me. Even like the Women's International Music Network came after I was passed over for a promotion and I quit my job and I found out I had cancer and I went through all this stuff. And then I was like, I'm gonna do this thing and nobody's gonna stop me. I don't wait for somebody to say, hey Laura, why don't you make this women's group? I just said, I wanna do this, and I did it. And I kind of redefined what I thought about myself from all of that craziness. So I was hoping that you guys could maybe share some of that. And I'm like, I can mix it up a little. So Jasmine, let's start with you.
So, obstacles, right?
Yeah, obstacles, and maybe like
Life
what
is
grew
one
from
big
that.
obstacle, I'll just tell you that much. So I've had many obstacles, but we'll just talk about business for a second. So in terms of business, economic recessions, downsizing, competition, changes in industries, right? These are all obstacles. I can't tell you guys how many times I've said, okay, I'm just gonna go get a job and stop running a business, which is not easy. But what I found is my resilience and rebounding. If I were gonna use one word, the answer is definitely about rebounding. I've been able to rebound, not just through that, but many things that I've been through. And like Laura mentioned, it opens up opportunities. You know, you can't usually see beyond the horizon of what you're looking at, because you're always looking at, what do I need to do today, especially as a business owner? How am I gonna get these things done? But if you start to accept challenges as learning lessons, and you rebound from them, that's the strongest thing that you can have. So that's what I've learned, the ability to rebound over time and really find new things to do. Like, so for example, I run an annual women's battle. I don't know, how many are in New York in this room? All right, cool, few, cool. So I run an annual women's battle of the bands in New York City. And again, I'm totally against pay to play. So all the bands get paid. We're going into our 2nd year this year, right? It might be in headlines, but anyway. But I don't take any money. But the point of the story is that I would have never done that if I hadn't been resilient about rebounding. To get the opportunity to be a vendor in New York City as a woman is no joke. And I'm like, I'm gonna make it happen. And they kept pushing back and I kept pushing forward. So I think rebounding has been my excellence. And that's what keeps me going and helps me to find new opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you do learn over time, like, you got through that thing and you didn't die, and you figured it out, and you're still here, and you're like, oh, maybe next time I can try something else because I know I can rebound if it doesn't work out, which just does happen. You stick your neck out there, you're like, Asian. Okay.
I think that what comes to mind for me is, so I went to college for a little bit. I went to college as a jazz major at Cal State Northridge in the Valley. See, son? And I was like the longest running intern at Warner Records because I was like just trying to get my foot in the door. And what I really was, when I got quiet and still with myself, was a songwriter and a singer and a performer. But I didn't see how to get in there. And so I thought, oh, if I intern in a label, I'm sort of like adjacently in the music industry. And I think it was coming a little bit from the fear of wanting to own the fact that what I really want to do is do music. And I really want to make the music. But I don't know how to do that or say that or claim that. So what I'm going to do is like sort of sidestep into a sort of more business role, because that feels a little safer. And I think there's an amazing book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. For everyone, it doesn't matter what kind of artist you are, any kind of artist. And she has this saying about people that are shadow artists, which is like when you really want to do the thing, but you're a little scared to do the thing, so you do the thing like it's next to it. And you're like, this counts, right? Sort of, almost. And so I was interning at Warner Records. First I interned in publicity, and then I did that for a year, and then I did 6 months in radio, and then they transferred me over to A&R, and I was like, A&R, I'm like sort of almost doing the thing that I almost want to do. I like find people that are really good, that write really good songs, and then like bring them here so that they can like get a record deal, and it seems like I'm really close to it, but not. And finally, they offered me a job. I got an A&R job. And it was like, oh my God, you're going to be an A&R at a major label. I dropped out of school. I took the job. I was like, I think I'm kind of making it sort of almost sideways. And then they laid everyone off a month later. And I was like, uh-oh. My parents had just been like, well, you can take that job, but you'll be financially on your own at that point if you want to drop out of school. What it did for me was it made me get authentic with myself about what do I actually want to do. What I actually want to do is write the songs and make the songs. And the reason why they wanted to hire me in A&R is because I can recognize that in you. Because I know what I want to do. And so I see it in other people because I'm like, oh, you're really good. If you can you get me this and this, and I'll pass it off to these people because I want you to win. So it really catapulted me into my knowing of myself and honoring of what it is that I actually want to do instead of hiding and sort of being in the closet there as like an artist. And so I'm really grateful that they laid me off after 1 month and I dropped out of school. I didn't go back to college. My parents were like, are you sure? Maybe. I didn't. I doubled down and I started playing gigs and I started getting in sessions, and then, it went from there. But for a minute there, I was pretty freaked out.
See that if she hadn't gotten laid off, she would be, well, you probably wouldn't be working at a record label. The record label, the whole thing is weird, but who knows, right? Yeah. Myki, how about you?
So to repeat the question about the struggle.
Yeah, just think about like obstacles in your career path and how they sort of changed your perspective or catapulted you to a new place.
I think, and then probably a lot of people in this room that can relate is people that consider you too much, too intense, too loud, too outspoken. To give you a story that has nothing to do with music, but I was working as an office manager in a company. And I was responsible for collecting payments, right? I was a delivery service, and I was on the drivers. You better collect that. They're late on their payment, whatever. My branch manager sends an email saying we're going to have a meeting in the room, whatever, in 10 minutes. Okay, cool. I'm thinking, great. I come in. We're sitting down. You've got the other area managers. You've got the secretary, and they didn't know this was going to happen. And the branch manager turns to me and says, "So, all these people have come to me because they're having an issue with you." And so I brought them, and I see their faces, they're just as shocked. So I brought them here so that you could address that, and they could address this to you. And at that moment I realized, oh, I dare you. Okay, you first. And it was such a horrible moment, and my district manager told me later, you didn't have to sit through that. And that wasn't the first time this has happened. And what I learned over the course of time is that you are going to be in spaces and places where people just don't know how to deal, aren't on the same page with you with what you want, can't see whatever is good about you and emulate it. So don't let that tell you that you're not good at what you do, or you're not important, or you don't matter. You find the communities, you find the spaces. Let the universe lay you off, fire you from a job, because the universe is going, you are wasting your time and your talent with this company and with this person, and you will only have so much time to go out there and motivate and inspire and yourself and others. And that's what led me to working in this industry, being on the board with Girls Rock, being with the Recording Academy, being with Women's International Music Network, to make sure that the platform is there, the voices are heard, and that you're mattered and that you're supported.
Thank you.
Woo! I got emotional.
I tell you.
Bring it.
And okay, you get to follow that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess what I wanted to explain, like, is a little bit close to what you were saying, Jasmine, and like just starting anew and always persevering and like bouncing back. And to me, and that's I know this is how I fell into this career in the industry. Is I after a few years in the toys industry in France, the company restructured and there was an opportunity to move for a job in Barcelona, Spain. Like, that sounds really cool. I'm going to apply, and then got the job, but they made me an offer, and so now you have to decide if you're gonna move. And it's like, I'm in my 20s, and you mean moving countries, and you have to decide now. I'm like, okay, I don't know. And I remember we were at a sales summit with reps and salespeople in Disneyland in Paris, and I was in this ballroom in a hotel, and people were trying to mentor me, and it's what is the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? It's well, I don't like it, I'm alone, and then I realized, well, is it that bad actually? And so I took the job, and I think this is what makes me realize that, yeah, I can do it. I'm not at all an extrovert by nature, but you can learn how to be a little bit more with the experience and the maturity, and that led me to think, okay, I can adapt to a new language, a new culture. And then I moved to New Zealand, and I adapted again to a new industry, new culture, and then moved to the US and music industry. And at first I was like, oh my God, I'm not a musician. I love music, but I'm not a creator. And so this is not gonna happen. And again, what's the worst that can happen? It's not a good match, and we'll find something else. And almost 7 years later, I'm still in this company. And so trusting your gut and just pushing yourself is definitely something that I think is really important.
Okay, which is the craziest country then that you've lived in? Is it the US? We can take it.
Yeah, we can take it.
In many ways, yes. I mean, healthcare, hello.
Okay, we're not going to go there right now. That's a different panel. Right, yeah, different panel. Okay, thank you. That's awesome. I've known some of you guys for a long time, and I didn't know some of those stories, so thank you. I want to talk a little bit about, I feel like the change in my own job. Okay, so my day job, I am I head marketing for Positive Grid. If you work in marketing, you know your job is to do something different every time. If you do the same thing, it gets boring. Some things you can do, but not everything. So we are constantly adapting. We are very AI forward in my company. It's a new initiative for us. So I just maybe want to hear about how has what you do evolved over time, and what challenges do you face today, or what opportunities do you face today in what you do? And I see Jasmine nodding, so she can start.
Yeah, I'm in the digital marketing industry, so I'm in the digital marketing industry. So, okay, so first of all, I would say, because I'm big about women in business, so I think I've gone from a business owner to a leader, and I think that has given me a lot of responsibilities, but also pride in accomplishments. So I'm really, I'm proud of the fact that I've done that, but it also forces me to really not only become a thought leader in my industry with the digital marketing industry, which changes, like you two were talking about, TikTok, CapCut. Every nanosecond, my industry changes. Every nanosecond. And I have to be a thought leader. I get interviewed on television. I need to know what I'm talking about. So for me, what does that mean? I have to enforce that every day I need to learn. Every day I need to talk to other thought leaders. Every day I need to understand my community. Every day I need to understand what my competition looks like, right? So it's, for me, innovation and evolution is that is me, 100%. I have to be always looking forward and also have tunnel vision, which is very, very hard. As artists, we know, at least I know, the only way to really be successful as a composer is to have tunnel vision and really focus on what I'm doing. And to do that in the digital marketing industry is very hard, with everything flying at you.
So for me, I think that that's been a big piece of my evolution, where I'm going. And a lot of advice that I give to people is, whether you're an executive at a company or you're an artist, I'm always talking about focus and understanding what's going on out there in your industry. Not just what's going on with the tools, I mean, that's great, but more importantly, what do the tools mean to your career? And how can you utilize the tools or delegate the use of those tools to somebody else to focus on what you really want to do? So I think that's, for me, it's an everyday thing more, every day. That's why I was nodding my head.
I want to know, like, I'm just going to ask you another question, like, how do you stay sane in that circumstance? Because I feel like sometimes there's this constant pressure, right?
Constant. I have constant pressure from my clients. And they're on the East Coast too, so I'm up today since 5 a.m. I'm so tired right now. I am like and totally different personalities. So for me, I'm like, I listen to only business podcasts. I'm very like nerdy in that way. And I believe in timetabling, in having a very strict schedule, and saying no. Like for me, it's about saying no, because when I need to study music, I study music. When I need to study the tools, when I need to know what's going on in the trades, I have a lot of feeds that come in, so like curating a lot of my feeds, and then talking to thought leaders. You know, like my podcast is pretty popular in the leadership world, and I learn from them. I'm always looking to learn from others, because I'd rather ask you about what's going on. Let's say, I love your hair. So like, if I asked her about hair color, right, instead of, you know, she could probably tell me everything than me trying to go learn that, right? No, I'm serious. Like, you know, so I learn a lot from other people. I'm big into listening. I think that's what helps. I think that's what, honestly, that's weirdly enough has helped me through my whole career.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What about you, Morgane? What's going on with you?
What's going on? A lot as well. But I mean, marketing too, right? But since I've joined Shure, you know, we've been through a pandemic, and you know, overnight we were really focusing most of our business in live performance, and that shut down. And I think a lot of businesses and musicians, you hear the pain, you've been through it, but it's how do we pivot? I guess luckily we have other products in our portfolio that helped us also survive. But it's like, luckily overnight it's like, well, podcasters are like, how many people became podcasters, you know, overnight in 2020? And how you like, okay, well, let's just reallocate resources and really adapt, and not me particularly, but the company as well, is how do we shuffle some funds to like launch a product right now that could help us also survive for these years. So that was intense. That's one of like the many challenges we've been through. And again, it's how do we do things differently? How do we challenge the status quo? How do we be like, let's do something different? AI, buzzwords, right? I mean, if everyone had to take a shot, everyone says AI, like we would be drunk by 10 a.m. every morning. But it's But it's how, yeah, it is a buzzword, but how can we what can we implement now to help the team with the workload, and what can we start thinking of with AI that will help us in the next 6 months, 1 year, and you know, we're so busy, it's like, we don't have time to think about that. You know, my team is like, too many things happening at once, like let's just stop and take the time to listen. I'm very close to our sales team, our end users, customers, and yeah, you learn a lot through books, but you learn even more by observing, active listening, taking notes, and and really digesting everything you hear.
Thank you. Myki, what do you think?
If I were to focus on what happened with radio during the pandemic, to pick that up, because just like with anything with music, anyone who remembers radio in the early 2000s, late 90s, right? And it was the excitement of, you hear the announcement, meet us at Radio Shack, and you can win tickets to Bon Jovi, right? Or whatever. So radio still is all about connecting people. It's the first place you hear your news for weather reports, if there's an accident on the road, all that thing. And when that hits, radio took a huge nosedive, because especially morning shows, because no one was in the car driving to drop off their kids, going to work. like at Odyssey, which is where 98 Rock is, 65% of the staff was laid off because no one was needed. And then during the course of this, companies were figuring out how can we still be sustainable, make profit without the employees, because we have to now. And as it lifted, things shifted. And so for a radio host, we had to learn to be influencers because we didn't have the staff. So then we were learning to be more of a presence on social media. And because we physically couldn't be with all of you. So it wasn't just radio, and then radio went from being in the car to being on an app from being live streaming. And then the AI thing is there are a lot of stations that are using AI generated hosts because it saves money, and a lot of shows are, as I'm just telling everyone about stuff, a lot of shows are syndicating. So you'll have a show that'll syndicate in 7 different markets. And for like Sacramento with 98 Rock, they understand that the rock community really wants to know that you are there in the studio, you were live, you were taking phone calls. And so the pivot for me is making sure they all knew we were there. We're not live, we're not AI. I mean, we are live, we're not AI. And so it was the posting on the social medias and then responding to it on the air. It was the taking the phone calls. It was relating to things happening. And so the overcome was just remembering that we are people connecting with people, and it's still a struggle because they're implementing things all the time, and we're responsible for more, but not allowed to do as much. I mean, full transparency, we don't pick the music. Radio hosts have not picked the music in years. It's program directors, because it's algorithms, and it's who's tuning in and it's who's turning out, and it's the stress of making sure people don't turn away because radio is free because we sell ads. So to get you to keep listening so you hear the ads and maybe the return on investment, blah, blah, blah. But we still have to remain the hosts that love you, and that's what keeps me driving in radio, is that I love all of you who tune in and you see me out in or whatever, and you call in. And so it's just remembering that it's the human connection that can never be replaced with anything. And that was the pivot.
Asia, what about you? She's like, no, I'm just home writing songs.
I'm just, well, during COVID, I had just come off a tour, so I was planning to be done touring at that moment. I was about to have a baby, and COVID hit weeks before I had a baby. So I was kind of like, I'm not gonna, first of all, I had the baby in my living room.
What?
Because I wasn't trying to go to the hospital the first week of COVID. Everything worked out. Everything was fine. She's great. I'm great. It was all great. So, had a baby in my living room first week of COVID. And then I got signed with a new management like the next week. And she was like, when can you be ready to hop back into sessions? Like on Zoom. And I was like, give me a hot month and I'll meet you there. And it was going to be on Zoom, so I was like, okay, I can figure this out. My logic skills are not where they need to be yet for that to be possible. So I found a friend who was really good on logic, and I was like, what's your hourly rate? How can you get me up to snuff in a month? And we'd do like 2 hours a day. I literally would have my baby nursing. I'd be on Zoom. He'd be like, sweet screen share. He'd be like, all right, so the channel for your vocal, you want to make sure that the sound, like the frequency has, we were like doing lessons. And then I would go on a session on Zoom, and every day was a new person. One day it's someone in London, and the next day it's someone in Nashville. And there are people who maybe prior to COVID would have been like, I'm too busy. But now the A team is like, I'm not doing a Zoom session. Like, let me know when it goes back in the rooms, and I'll be there. And I was like, yoink, I'll take those. Like, I'll do it. Let me in. And so I think there was a lot of people who were flexible at a moment where maybe the A team wasn't flexible. I was proud to be on the B team at that moment. And we just were like, okay, what do I have to do to get good at this thing that I don't know? We figured Zoom out, and we figured out how to do like hook your interface in so that your microphone didn't sound weird, and then you got to figure out the delay and And so that was like how I pivoted. And in a lot of ways, for me, it was perfect because I don't know that I could have been in those rooms at that moment with a baby. And I would be in the session like nursing, and the person like wouldn't know that there was a baby there. But then I felt like I had a duty to let you know that I'm like doing two things and you're doing one. And after I was done, I'd be like, oh yeah, I have a baby too. And I'd like lift the baby up and they'd be like, whoa, you just made the pre-chorus and like I didn't even know there was a child eating off of you. And then I'd like hand the baby to my mom and we'd keep it moving. And for me, it was both important to be flexible, and I was so grateful that like COVID had facilitated this opportunity for me. And I don't know that I would have sat down and really forced myself to get good at Logic if the world hadn't like stopped and cleared the time for me. I don't know if I would have done that. I'm still not the best at Logic, but like I get by, you know?
Yeah, I do know several women who learned how to record themselves over the pandemic because they're home and need to record. Somebody needs a vocal and you need to figure out how to do it. Yeah, that's awesome. And what about now?
Now? How am I pivoting? Is that the question?
Or just, are you still doing sessions on Zoom? Are you back in the room?
Most of the sessions are back in the room, but I will say Zoom sort of evened the playing field for people in other countries, I think. Before it was like someone in Sweden doesn't really want to do co-write with you if you're not in Sweden. But now they will. They will. Especially if you, on your end, the way that I do most sessions is I'm a vocal producer. So, you know, let's say Max Martin is in Sweden, hypothetically. And he's, no, screw Max Martin. Let's say who's a woman producer that we love? Whatever. You get my point. So say Alicia Keys is like in New York and I'm here in LA and the artist is in LA. But the three of us want to write together. I'll be like, come to my house. The artist comes to my house. That person and me write the song on Zoom with Alicia Keys in New York. Alicia's making a beat. I'm over here talking about melodies and concepts. Then I'm like, yo, Alicia, mute the track for a minute. You go in your land and we'll go in ours. And then she mutes. Me and the artist talk about, okay, what are we really trying to say? And it would be cool if the melody went up on that one part. And then 15 minutes later, I unmute and I'm like, Alicia, how's that beat coming? And then we sync back up and see if like we got a little ways on our own. And then if we like what we did, we mute again. I record the vocalist, or sometimes the vocalist is me. And we get the track in. I email that to Alicia. Alicia on her end throws it into the track that she's built. Then she sends it back to me with the track. We're like, oh, that's dope. Okay, you know, it'd be sick if we added da 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 da. So then me and the artist mute her again, and we do, like, that's how we did it. And
That's really cool.
it's pretty cool.
That is so
And like very efficient.
Very efficient. There's a lot of people that I feel very close to that I've never actually met. That we've written songs, and those songs have gone on and done cool things, and I never hugged them. I see them in real life, I'm like, you're 5'2"? You're at least 6 foot.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to let a couple of you guys ask some questions. So think about what you want to ask. Quick story. So I've been here out in LA since Monday, and I've been walking around with my guy. He's here too. He's in the industry, and we'll go places. And I'm the boss, so I'm taking care of business, and I'm asking people questions, and I'm making sure stuff is being taken care of. And I can't even tell you, like literally 3 times this week. And it's only, what's today, Thursday? I have asked the question, and people have answered to him. So I want to know, and it really like pissed me off. I'm like, I'm spending a lot of money here. Have you guys faced challenges as women in your field? And what's going on? Okay, Morgane, I can tell you when I'm
How
wrong.
long do you? Yeah, it's real in every industry. That was one thing that really surprised me when I joined it. I'm most of the time the only woman with a bunch of sorry, but middle-aged white men. And yeah, and yeah, sometimes I'm the one owning the budget, I'm the one leading the conversation, and for many reasons, from religious to probably stupidity, but they would not shake my hand. So I'm in a room with 5 other men, only women. They would not shake my hand because I'm a woman. They gave me the heads up, but still not cool. Like you feel already that you're kind of on the, outside of the circle of trust. And then I would talk and they would look at a man in the room to answer me. And that's, yeah, it is
How do you react when that
infuriating.
happens? What do you?
I mean, most of them are sometimes customers, so there's a line you can't necessarily cross. I try to keep cool, but to not back down, so I will keep talking. I remember once that one guy was like, well, who wants the budget anyway? And my colleague was like, she does, and there you go. I think to me, one thing that really helps is find support, male support that will stand up for you when needed. It's sad to say that, but I do have amazing coworkers who would be like, yeah, what she said. And sometimes it's all it takes to gain respect from stupid middle-aged white men. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, true. Asia?
I mean, I'm trying to just like bite my tongues all the time. So I have a husband who also does music. His name's Andy Grammer.
He's amazing.
And he's wonderful. And as you might imagine, in the exact same field, we come into this situation quite a bit. I will first say that he is my biggest cheerleader. So the person who's correcting it for me on a regular basis is often him. We'll go into rooms and people will be like, hi, Andy, and then they'll go like, and Andy's wife. And he'll go like, her name is AIJIA. Yeah. And he does it quick, because he's like, he knows if he doesn't do it, I'll do it. He's like, her name is AIJIA. She got a name, and it's not Mrs. Grammer, it's AIJIA. I think that I've come up with a really good, polite, yet straightforward email response. When I get emails, it'll be like this long email. Hey, we have this amazing opportunity. We want to perform at da-da-da. This is the ask. Here's the money, da-da-da. Do you think you could ask Andy if he could do the thing? And it'll be like the last sentence of the long thing. And I have like a very polite response like, sounds great. I am not on the management team and don't handle any of those emails. Feel free to reach out to his team. Have a great day. I don't do it because it's time that I don't have that isn't earned, right? Of course, if like a friend that I know is like, hey, we're having a fundraiser at our school, like things that I'm committed to as well. But I've gotten really good at just going like, I don't know, I don't handle that. I'm just a person. I'm just a wife. I don't know how any of that works. Good. You should go reach out. You can figure that out. And I think there's been a lot of times where in the past, maybe I was resentful because I felt like I had to push harder to feel legitimized or something. But when I really get down to it and when I get honest with myself, I don't really care what anyone thinks of me. I know what I am. I know what I bring. And a lot of what I bring is represented by the feminine. And that is my own thing. And that's a different thing than what my husband brings. So that is where I ground myself. And then also, like, there's always going to be people who see you and don't see you. And as soon as somebody gives me the inkling that they don't see me, I go like, have a great day. See you later. And I just like don't even mess with them. I don't want to.
Right out of that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, great. You don't see me. Great. Thanks for that information. I have no interest in convincing you. Onward. There's other people. These are my people over here. So I think that can like go across the spectrum of gender too. There can be other people that don't see me, who I think are supposed to be like my teammates. But that's okay. Not everybody's gonna get you. You find the people who get you, and you ride with them into the night. You know?
Into the night.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. These are them. They're in this room. Get their numbers.
Jasmine.
Oh my God, that's such a big question. So that's like one of the reasons I started Warrior Women in Business. Well, there's multiple. And I also play hockey, and I'm bringing that up because I've been playing women's hockey. Yeah, I've been playing women's hockey and playing with men for like 20 years. And there's a total difference, right? Yeah, my teeth are nice. So anyway, the point of the story is that men think differently. And I don't think it's a men versus women battle. And I love what you said. It's awesome. And I love that you're breastfeeding them. So cool. You're dope, as they say. But anyway, so back to the men and women thing. So, it's about, with my main business, I do executive branding. I work with Fortune 500 executives. And the ones that have really helped women have been men spearheading women's initiatives, right? Yeah. The men that I have helped because they're part of these women's initiatives, and they help women to get on boards and get higher levels of jobs. Yes. The reason that they do it is because they're good men that really do understand that men and women need to work together. So a couple of things about this whole subject, because I talk about this so much on my podcast with major women, and I always want to know, how do you do it, how do you come across these obstacles, and how do you succeed, and all of these things, right? So number one thing is understand that men and women are different, okay? So you have to understand how to talk to them. And how to talk, not to reveal your body. I mean, there's a lot of like programs that I've listened to where they're like, oh, you should just act like this. No, you need to be yourself. I love that you said that, right? But you need to understand how they think and how, women think from A to Z. Men think from A to L. It's very, very, very different. You know what I mean? Like they're linear, where we're like this circle, right? So when men and women come together for one cause, like you were talking about, Morgane, working as teams, this is where we can really, really excel, right? So if you feel that you're in a room and you're not being heard, let's say, I love what you do because you're a badass, but if you're not being heard in a room, and believe me, I sit on the hockey bench and I talk to the guys, I'm like, hey, what's going on? It's your job. I bother the hell out of them, right? And then I start talking to them. I realized one major thing about men, which is not a bad thing. They love to talk about their achievements. Whereas women like to ask how they can help others. So this is a big difference, and if you can combine those two things, we'll have a great world, honestly. So I think it's really more about, not being defiant that somebody's not talking to you or feeling any one way, like she said, standing up for yourself, but realizing that there's some qualities that they have that can help you. It's just about getting them on your team. Because this is where I think the women's industry, never mind music, any women's industry, is too niche. And I think for us to get, like I've gotten sponsorships for my women's programs from men. A lot of my clients are men. Yeah. And they're all like, Jasmine, I love how you support women. I hear it every single day. So just start looking out for those opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Myki.
Can I just give a shout out and thank you to the men who are here?
Yeah.
Amen. You came in the beginning and you're still here.
We're not here to bash you.
Because this is not a men bashing thing, and so we love you. I've learned that, and I can't remember who shared this quote, but men are often judged by their potential and women are often judged by their past.
Very true.
I have seen it happen, even in the radio.
Hold on, we need a moment of silence for that.
I have even seen in the radio industry where someone has come along, worked in a show, did horribly, received a 6-figure income, get fired because they sucked at what they did, and then 2 months later they're hired in another show in another market, which doesn't happen for women, right? And I didn't always look like this. Physical appearance matters, right? I had a very, gender's a construct now. I had a femme look, longer hair, but now when I look like this, over the phone, when you hear my voice, you don't think I look like this. My mother was in the hospital 10 days before she died. And I was handling every day, I was handling every day talking with her doctor because I was the one responsible for saying, can you do this, while I'm also running the camps at Girls Rock. I go to show up because now it's going to be over. I have to be there for her last days. The doctor looks at me and says, "Oh, I thought you had long hair by the way you sounded." Translation, I thought you looked more like a girl. My mom is dying. Can I go see her, please? Right, I didn't say that. I think I've learned that we have to meet people where they are. Because he wasn't trying to be mean to me. This was his upbringing. Does it matter that he was Indian? Maybe. His upbringing. It's harder as for women as a task to have to be so understanding and so compassionate and give space and give grace. And I love when I can meet men that will do the same because they were raised that way or they figured it out that that's a better way to be. Because men have an equally hard time on their own platform, right? So it's just, I've had this struggle my whole life, especially once I started looking like this. Ooh, goodness. They either try to prove that they could be better than me or they try to dismiss me and not talk to me. But I've just learned that when you can just make the eye contact, don't look like you're about to rip their head off, and meet intelligence with intelligence, information with information, 8 times out of 10, you've made a friend or at least you've gained a respect. Especially when I make sure that I don't come right at you like you think, oh, she hates men. I'm not going to do that to you because I don't. I mean, before I came out, I was married to a man. I gave birth to a child, like, huh? You know, the breastfeeding thing. So,
Wait, in your living room too?
No, but I did help my aunt give birth in the living room. So it was kind of nuts. So, you know, it's like, because I'll get the question, you're a lesbian? How did you have a kid? Really? I can show you the video if you need it. So because I have transitioned and I have grown and I'm learning all the time about where people are and where I meet them. It amazes me, even Sacramento, 98 Rock, where I'll meet men that I think would not accept me. They get so excited when they see me. And here I am going, man, I just judged you in that nanosecond thing, and you're not going to want to come up and talk to me. Oh, wait, you love hearing me on the air, and now you're responding to everything that I'm posting, and you're my biggest cheerleader. So I even learned myself that if I want the change, I have to be the change.
Be the change.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow. Woo. I need a minute. I think maybe I have time for like one question. This is so great.
Sorry, I know we're so.
It's all good. It's all good. I think we're gonna go right there.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Eva. Hi. So I know that I feel like when we talk about being like women in the industry, it's always very like focused on why it's like negative and like how it's really hard for us because, you know, like we're different than, you know, middle-aged white men and they don't like that and whatever, you know? But I guess I want to ask, like, from your perspective and like as you've grown in your career, how have you found that like being a woman and like your differences and who you are and your identity has not only like helped your career but also like help you grow into what you're doing?
That's an excellent question.
That's really good.
And I will say, like, 20 years I worked at Cork USA, Cork Marshall Box. I was marketing manager there. I was often the only woman in the room. And I did artist relations. So I would be going out, meeting people. I'd be talking about Class A amplifiers and tubes. And I actually thought it was really cool that I was a woman. I didn't really experience a lot of weirdness at that time. I don't know how, because it was weird times. But being a woman who knew a lot about gear and wasn't afraid to talk about it, I thought was an advantage for me. And I got in a lot of rooms because we're like, oh, who's this chick? Oh, let's she knows a lot of stuff. Okay. I didn't have to set up gear or play it or prove that I was a good player or any of that stuff because I wasn't. But I knew what I was talking about, and I think I was respected in that space. I also think, like, I love what I do. Look, we're here to talk about challenges, but I don't walk around every day sitting there thinking, oh no, I'm a woman. Like, I'm gonna be harder. Oh no. So I think it's like anything. If you're good at what you do, if you can create a lure around yourself of being that person that's cool to work with and, you know, sometimes fun and knows their business, I think that's the thing that you build for yourself. But I want to hear what you guys think about it. Any other thoughts on it?
Go.
Go, Jasmine. Go, Jasmine. Go.
I'm not sure what I.
Well, I'll just say,
Okay, you go.
I think.
So, so polite.
We don't even need Zoom, you know.
No.
Okay, so feminine energy is a really great thing.
Yes.
Okay, I want to start with that, Eva. So embracing your feminine energy, and not in any like haha crazy way, but really understanding that you have so much to offer as a woman. You know, you have the nurturing, you have the collaboration, you have the strength of a woman. You can bring in the soft side of things. You think differently. These are the things that you need to really not only embrace, but kind of do some introspection on where your strengths are in that area, and look at your situation, whatever your situation. I don't know what you do for a living at all, but whatever that situation is, and say, how can I bring something different and better to this situation as a woman? So that goes back to what I was saying about listening, because a lot of times you could be listening in a room and hear something, and you might be interpreting it differently than everybody else that's sitting in that room, and raise an awareness that will move something forward.
You keep your mic. It's yours. One thing I will say is, now, I don't know if this is all women, but this is me as me and my feminine energy. I'm really attuned to how people are feeling and vibing. Is that person feeling okay? Is this person comfortable? Is that? Now, I don't know. Does everyone do that? Is that more of a feminine thing? I'm like, that person's not feeling comfortable over there. Not you specifically. I'm just like, I'm aware, right? That makes me
like, how did she know?
Yeah. That makes me really good at co-writing, because I know when someone feels like their ideas haven't been heard. And I inquire, hey, like, I spoke maybe and she spoke, but what was that thing that you said? And then they go, oh, okay, I have a place. And sometimes that person is a man, sometimes that person's a woman, sometimes that person is non-binary, sometimes that person is a person of color, sometimes that person is queer, sometimes, like, and you always have to be aware that you're checking in to make sure everyone is represented, at least in a co-writing space. But that also works for, like, in a band space, when there's like the guitar player, and does the sound engineer feel like we were like, oh my God, thank you so much. You are making us sound amazing. And then he like makes your vocals sound a little better. You know? I feel like that is a feminine skill, because I'm checking in with everyone, because naturally my wiring is to like check in on the children and do we have enough berries and like, you know what I'm saying? Biologically, I'm meant to like have my spidey senses be going on a wide net, and that is helpful in rooms because, for example, let me give you another example. Whenever I'm in a lot of spaces where there are people who are known and everybody knows them in the room. And when everyone is clamoring to that one person, I always just like pretend like I can't see them, and I go up to their wife and I'm like, oh my God, I am so happy you're here. Let's hang out. Tell me everything. That matters, because me and her, this is my chick right here. I don't need that person, right? And the partner can be a man or a woman. But my sense is telling me, like, because I know that, right? Because I've lived that. I don't like need anything from them. I just want to like homie up with this person. And that is a feminine skill, to be like, what can I bring to this situation, rather than like, what can I get? What can I bring? What do you need? I don't need anything from you, but maybe I have something that you need, and then we're homies, and then later, like, at some point in time, there's gonna be something that I need that you have a skill that I don't have. And so I'm always looking of like, what can I bring? In a way that's not like self-serving, but like, what do I have to offer you? And I don't know that, I don't know, I think that that's a feminine skill.
Yeah, I think, you know, as you were talking, I was thinking about, I have a lot of people that work for me, and when I do reviews, my main goal when I review somebody is that they walk out feeling that even if it was not a good review or a challenging review, that they know that they can do it. That we walk out feeling, okay, I've had some challenges, but I know my path now. to like lead me to the right place, and I'm pumped and I'm feeling really good, and I'm so, like you said, I'm so attuned to, I want this person pumped up when they walk out of this review. I do not want them walking out feeling like I suck. I want them to think I can do this. And I think that's that thing where you can feel that connection and that.
And I think we're really good at being the cement for unifying teams as well.
Yeah.
In a team with only men, like it feels like it could be dysfunctional. But you need that. I think it's the woman touch. It's like reading the room. It's like being able to see what people need and facilitating and then the portion, like the recipes taking because of those little touch that we bring.
So yes, we are awesome. Do not be afraid to be a woman in the room. It's a total asset, and you can do it. Thank you guys so much.
Can you make some noise for Laura for putting this whole thing together? Thank you all of you for being here.
Thank you.